With the ever evolving demands of digital sound processing in multiple platforms such as motorcycle, marine, and car applications, Hertz Audio has come up with a solution that's tiny, mighty, but full featured. It's called the S8 DSP, and I've got product expert Justin Bond in the studio with us today to break it all down. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Hertz Audio. And it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on the menu today is DSP. Yes, those three letters that mean so much, and really, you as a shop and as a store should be paying attention because Hertz Audio is coming to you with a brand new device, which is teeny tiny, but just absolutely loaded with features that we're going to learn about today. Now, Justin, give us a quick breakdown and an outline of what we want to plan on discussing today.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having me back. Today, we're going to be talking about the S8 DSP from Hertz. So it's a new compact DSP that's full featured. Today, we're going to talk about what makes it stand out and why it's different than all the other DSPs of its size.
Well, Justin, I can't wait to learn about all the features that apparently are packed in that tiny little package. But first, an opportunity for our partner SiriusXM to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we come back, I got Justin Bond, and we're talking about the S8 DSP from Hertz.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the show. Justin, just out of the gate, we're focusing on a unit that obviously is very, very compact. So I'd like to hear in your own words, why was there a need to produce a DSP with full features, but yet in such a small form factor?
Well, Ben, the most expensive real estate in the automobile industry right now is space. So having a DSP that's fully capable of OEM integration, that has all the features of a larger DSP in a smaller footprint is extremely important. And then when you transfer that outside of an automobile into a boat or into a motorcycle or a side-by-side, space doesn't exist, period. So the folks at Hertz really want to keep all the features that they're known for, but put it in the size of something that can go into any type of vehicle.
All right, so speaking about features, Justin, why don't you give us a quick outline of a couple of the key features that dealers need to know about when it comes to the S8 DSP?
Well, Ben, it's a powerful DSP with excellent sound quality, so it's what you'd expect from Hertz. So the first thing is with this DSP, the first thing you're going to notice, obviously, is it's super tiny in size. So it's a little bit over 5 inches wide and 3.5 inches high. But you keep hearing me talk about the features in this DSP. So this DSP features things that no other DSP in its class has. So first off, it has OEM de-equalization, which means that interfacing in OEM head units, whether it be a motorcycle, automotive, or boats, you're going to get the flattest curve before you even start and get to the tuning. Second thing is it has our built-in USS, which means a universal speaker simulation, which means in the applications that monitor the resistance of the speakers in the vehicles or control the outputs of the factory amplified system, depending on whether a speaker is there or blown, etc., yada, yada, this is going to be able to combat that. Our USS works unbelievably. We have yet to find a vehicle that we really can't beat with it, which is great. And it's also, like I said, it's the only DSP in this size, in this class, that has something like that in it. All right. The other thing that's really important about this DSP is it has an anti-corrosive treated PCB or conformally coated PCB. Like you've heard me say, this DSP is designed for use in an automobile, a motorcycle, a side-by-side, or a boat. So we need to make sure that putting it in any of those applications, this DSP is going to perform, it's going to stand up, and it's going to last the lifetime of the install of this. All right. So it features 6 channels in, 8 channels out, high resolution audio. It has SPDIF in, coax input, It does 4 volt capable on the output side of things, up to 21 volts on the high level side of things. The other thing that makes this DSP fairly unique, aside from the fact that it actually has software for a Mac, is that you can control this unit, tune this unit, configure this unit via Bluetooth application, iOS, or Android. Now, one thing to note on this DSP is it does not have an external DRC controller on it. So the Bluetooth application actually becomes the DRC for preset selection or additional volume control should you not have the ability to do that. But like most products from Hertz and DSPs, we always feature an analog trigger in it. So to make the switching of presets, etc., done simply with power or ground in the event that you don't have real estate for an additional DRC, and it doesn't need it anyway. All right, so this is what comes in the box with the S8 DSP. So the first thing that I want you to look at is the actual physical size of our DSP. So like I said, a little over 5 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall, and 1.5 inches thick. So this is standard computer mouse sitting on top of the DSP. So you keep hearing me talk about the full features of this DSP and the compact size, right? You're also going to notice it's in a fully almost sealed case. That helps with the water resistance on the conformally coated PCB. The other thing I want you to notice is that all the connections for this DSP and the Molex plugs are on one side of the DSP. So in applications like motorcycles or boats, this ensures that you can A, always have the connections draining towards the bottom of a boat, or B, away from any sort of moisture entry points on the motorcycle. It also helps keep the install of the DSP as clean as possible. To the left, you're going to notice a plethora of connectors that we get. So the first one that you're going to see is going to be the power cord and connector that comes with the vehicle. So, or the S8, sorry. So it's going to have typical power ground switch accessory. It's going to have remote trigger out for high level turn on. It's also going to give you those additional input outputs for selecting presets. That's what the pink wire looks like there. Coming down from that, we have, it's a pretty typical, it's our high level input harness. So all we have is there's our speaker level input. And like I said, it's capable up to 21 volts RMS input, which will handle almost all the audio systems out there. You may have a couple issues with some of the higher end premium ones that have high output subwoofers, but this should take almost anything you can throw at it. Next to that is just a duplicate of that cable, and this is our low level input connection. All right, so up to 8 volts low, side by side. You cannot use both. It's either one or the other on this. And then last but not least, we have our 4-volt pre-out output harness. Now, in the case of a Harley Davidson or a motorcycle, the harness is long enough, depending on how you mount this, to actually go directly from the head unit into that and then out down to whatever amplifiers that you're going to if it's all mounted within the fairings, keeping the installation super tight. The other thing that I want to point out lastly is if you look on the bottom right of that box, you'll see the high resolution certified logo. Please keep in mind that even though this is a small unit, it is fully feature packed. It has our USS speaker simulation. It has Bluetooth. It has high res audio certified, 6 channels in, 8 channels out. It really is a super powerful, super tiny piece. This DSP replaces a ton of the DSPs that you could stock on your shelf. And the fact that it works well in any application, as well as gives us that input correction on the OEM side of the head unit, makes it perfect for almost every application.
Truly a small footprint. Like, no kidding, Justin. You nailed that. When I saw that mouse go next to it, I mean, it's obvious it's really tiny. Okay, so we've got the S8 DSP in our hands. I'm a technician. What options do I have now to interface with the unit so I could set it up?
Well, Ben, we really wanted to make sure that there was no restrictions when it came to using or tuning our DSP software. So we have our fully configurable PC software, as well as it works on a Mac for the first time, like ever. And if you don't happen to have a PC or a Mac, as long as you have an Android device or an iPhone and Bluetooth, you can configure, control, and tune the DSP. All right, so this is the landing page when you select the PC software of the S8 DSP. As I'm obviously not connected to the DSP right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the offline section just so we can walk through the software a little bit. So first thing we're going to do is create a new setup. Now, This screen may see a little bit redundant because you will see it 2 times, but the reason that it does this is so it'll pre-configure the DSP so it gives you some sort of protection in what you're installing it into. So we're obviously going to select car because that's the most common. And then on the bottom there, you're going to notice we can select left or right-hand drive. Actually, most of the cars that we see are going to be left-hand drive. So we're going to select left-hand drive and we're going to go to next. All right, I'm just going to maximize the screen here. Perfect. All right, so the first thing I want you to notice is the big orange box in the right-hand corner. So normally when you're connected to a DSP, it's going to tell you the firmware version of the software and of the DSP, as well as the serial number, all up in this information. This is a key feature. If for some reason something's not going right or you have questions, please make sure that you're always using the most up-to-date firmware and software. Going on from there, we're going to click the settings button. And we're going to go to I/O configuration. So input output configuration wizard. All right. So once again, this wizard is going to guide us through the setup procedure, which is going to be the first thing that we're going to run everything. So you're going to see this little screen again. So like I said, the first time that we select it, it does that to kind of select protections for the speakers so that in the event that we didn't run the wizard, we'd be okay or safe. So we're going to go start configuration. So the first thing it's going to ask us to do is going to be to select our speaker selections. So here we're going to select center off, and we'll just do a set of two-way components, a rear set of coax, and a single subwoofer. So all we got to do is click to turn the speakers on or off, and then we'll click the one and then go to next. All right, so now it's asking us in our output if we're doing active or passive. So if this was a passive crossover network, we would simply click the little box where it says two ways. That would enable it to be a passive, but we're going to go fully active on this situation. So we're going to just leave that like that and go next. All right, now here's where we're going to assign our channels. Typically in North America, we've all been taught to do channel 1 is left tweeter, channel 2, so on all the way down. If you're wondering why in older software from Hertz, it may have defaulted different, it was just because that's what they were looking for in the auto turn on. So now we've done it so that it goes exactly with kind of every way that we're thinking over here. So we're simply going to leave it how it is and select next. All right, here it's going to ask us, are we doing low level RCA input or high level? For this perfect situation, we'll be doing high level. Click high level, run through next. All right, so here's where we have our input output routing. All right, here is where it's going to let us choose exactly what we want. So it's going to come up with a preset version of our inputs if we're doing 2N. But if we go to where that little drop down is and we change it from stereo to custom, so custom is going to allow us to assign or sum anything. So if I simply click on into right by the first channel, the black box, yeah. All right, so we've selected it to manual, and here we can click all the boxes behind the black boxes beside the 100, and it will begin to sum. So here we can put however much percentage we want, 50. And you're going to see the caution there. It just says if you exceed 100%, you risk adding distortion. So effectively, we have 100% of signal would be 50 and 50. So we would change the 100 down to 50. And hit enter. Now, if I click on the black box right above the 50 I just entered, in that auto mode, you'll see when it's in auto, it will automatically add it to 100. So if I click on another black box right beside it, that 50 I just did, you'll see that it'll go down to 30. If I click the black box again, it'll go down to 25. So really, in the auto mode, it offers the most protection and a lot of flexibility. Should you need to do 70% signal of one or over 100% to get a little more juice, that option is there in the custom. All right, so I'm just going to go back and I'm going to hit the drop-down menu. I'm going to go to stereo. And we'll transit, and then we're just going to go to next. All right, so here, we would connect our S8 DSP installation to USB to the head unit. We would play track 1, set all the tone controls. If you've done any DSPs from us before, you'll notice this is the same procedure for setting our levels and our de-equalization. So we're going to go to next or skip because we're not actually doing it. All right, here's the same part. We would apply the track from the head unit, and it would do this and hit skip. And device configuration complete. All right, so here's the snapshot. So one thing I want you to notice when it comes to this is that everything is on the exact same one singular pane. So that just makes any adjustments done. There's no additional windows. The only time you will get into additional windows is when you're doing certain things such as configuring the Q factor of the parametric EQ on the bottom. So if I go ahead and I take one of the, let's say I go to 630 Hertz on the bottom.
All right, so we just walked through the configuration wizard, which really was really simple stuff. I do have a question for you though, Justin. I did notice in the beginning that selector where you can choose which platform. How much does that affect the process once you decide which platform you want to choose at the very beginning?
Well, Ben, good question. So initially, that setup is there also as a protection for the configuration. So if you were just to get in there without running a wizard, you'd make sure that your inputs or the way that the DSP is going to behave would be conducive to what the vehicle is going in. So if you're using free placement, the idea of left and right is going to be different, such as a boat, right? You may have in the front, in the back, etc. So when it comes to time aligning or the general purpose or the image that you see, it's going to be completely different in free placement versus if you're putting it in a motorcycle where you have two speakers up front, two in the rear, no subwoofer. So by doing that or having those preset selections, it allows the user, which then also can be fully customized throughout the app, should they need to make any adjustments, but it just kind of gives them that safe space and that easy way to start, making even those with kind of a limited end of DSP experience feel confident in the product that they're using.
All right, and my last question to you, Justin. Now, I think Hertz has done a phenomenal job offering the interface platform on multiple platforms. You mentioned iOS, Android, as well as PC and Mac. But from a user interface standpoint, once this is installed, what type of control do I have over this device?
Well, Ben, like I said, this unit doesn't have a physical DRC that's paired with it. That means that the cellular device that you're using, the iPhone or the Android device, actually acts as the DRC. So I'll go ahead and bring up the app here. And you're going to notice right on the top, it says DRC, and on the bottom, it says configurator. So first off, we're going to go take a quick look at the DRC. We'll click that, and here's what you see. So it's very limited in what you can or cannot do with the app. So it does that to protect the settings inside the DSP. So simply here, master volume up, master volume down, quick mute in the bottom right, as well as input and memory selection. So if I click the input, I can either choose my analog RCAs or digital input or what I have configured previously, as well as the 4 different presets. Now, one thing to note, this DSP does allow us to have preferential preset. What I mean by that is that I can have it so every time this DSP powers up, the preferential preset would be memory B. So every time it gets in the car or on the bike, it will start on preset B. If you have a spouse that drives a vehicle that maybe has different listening tastes or sensitivity, this is a perfect DSP for that because you can control that for sure. And then we'll go back to File, and then simply here we're going to connect to the main menu. So it's going to ask if we want to quit, and we're going to go down to the configurator. So I just want to give you a brief overview on this. Once again, we'll click offline because we're not actually connected to one. Create a new setup. You're going to see that very familiar style screen where you can select motorcycle or swipe right and go to car or etc. Here, you're also going to notice that we have all the channels. If I click the channels button on the bottom, you're going to see all the channels that we have selected for our motorcycle. If on the right, we'll have inputs, memories, very similar to the DRC controls. And then on the top here is our menu bar. Volume. Next over, we have crossover and phase. After that, we have output levels and EQs. So whether you're using a PC or a Mac, an iOS device or an Android, you have complete connectivity in any way with this DSP. So there really isn't any additional tools or anything that you don't have in your shop that you're going to need to connect to the DSP. I have also tested using Bluetooth from a PC directly to the DSP, and it works actually quite well. And, if you work at a business that does a lot of the similar cars, or your market dictates a lot of similar cars, one of the options is you can tune it once on a PC. You can pair your phone to it. You can save it in the file, and you can preload that tune as you need to go for any other vehicles. So, for example, motorcycles, majority of motorcycles are going to use the same type, placement, location of speakers, especially if you know what you're selling and where you're catering to. So that makes setup time, distances, equalization very, very predictable and very efficient when you're using the S8 DSP.
All right, that was Justin Bond representing Automobility for Canada when it comes to Hertz Audio. Now, if you're looking for more technical information on any of the product that we covered today, mainly the S8 DSP, I encourage you to go over to their official website found right here on the screen, hertz-audio.com. And because this is Automobility, well, of course, we had to reach out to our good friend Phil Cameron to get a little bit of his perspective. Now, Phil, you've had a chance to play with this, but also you're in charge of a very important division at Automobility, and that is technical support. So when it comes to DSP, obviously it's quite a technical type of product that does require that type of support. What have you in place on behalf of Automobility to help support said dealers?
As you just said, Ben, sometimes DSP can look challenging or confusing or complex, especially if you've never had to deal with it. Thanks, Justin, for explaining all the benefits and features. But if you're new to DSP or you're a little bit confused about it, it's okay. We got your back. Just reach out to Automobility, and either myself or Justin will be there to assist you. So doesn't matter if you're super experienced with DSP or if you're just starting or you just want to get your feet wet. We got you, and we will offer the level of training that you may need by contacting one of us, and we'll be able to guide you and pretty much answer all your questions that you may have in regards to your DSP needs.
Something warm and fuzzy about when Phil Cameron says that he's got you. Has he got me? I feel like he's got me. But on a more serious note, Phil, you've had a chance to play around with the app as well as the interface for this S8 DSP. And from what I can see, being knowing a little bit about DSP, but not too much, it does look like the layout is quite simple. I'd like to hear your feedback on your experience with the software as well.
If you've ever opened any other DSP from Hertz or Audison, you'll find that the layout of the application looks very familiar. It is very intuitive. And the one thing I really love about this little guy here, the S8 DSP, is that if for whatever reason you go back to a job and you forget your laptop and you need to make some changes, some configuration adjustment, and you forgot it, then you're not stuck. You can always use your smartphone or your tablet, connect via Bluetooth, and away you go. You can make your connection. Same things apply. If you don't have that cable that connects to the device, or if the device is just hidden into a motorcycle and it's hard to connect with a cable, then just use Bluetooth on either your smartphone or your tablet. Super easy, super intuitive. Easy is the key word. So, yeah.
I want to take this opportunity to thank my two guests today, both Justin Bond as well as Phil Cameron, for coming in. And in my closing comments, when it comes to this Hertz S8 DSP unit, well, I got to tip my hat to the engineers at Hertz because they've done and accomplished a couple very important feats. Number one, it is absolutely feature packed with advanced features commonly only found in larger form factor type devices. Not only that, they've managed to make it conformably coated and weather resistant, which is a perfect application when it comes to the rise in popularity for motorcycle audio, as well as marine and power sports as well. Add to that the fact that it is high-res certified, making it, if not the only, one of very few high-res certified DSP units. On top of that, what they've done by making it flexible when it comes to the interface platforms that installers and users alike can use to control the unit, whether it's iOS, Android, tablet, PC, or even macOS, really levels up this entire offering as something clearly unique, high performance, and one unit that really fits the bill on so many applications. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.